All right. I'm not going to state that I know everything OOC. Right? I'm gonna turn on some nice little background music. I want to take it from the top on how I view everything. I wasn't even charged with a crime, and my bar was attempted to be taken away because information got misconstrued that I was trying to turn in Ricky Riz, right? That I was trying to claim his bounty money for personal gain, right? That wasn't even a criminal charge in the penal code, right? But my bar was suspended based off of ethics violations, right? Criminal charges as a lawyer, especially on duty in Hazel's case, immediately warrant ethics review because lawyers are more or less the upstanding citizens that abide and defend people of the law, right? Or through the law, I guess would be the better way to say it. In Hazel's case, right, I do agree that it was due process violation because the initial searching officer spotted the oxy and did not take it. To then have a flip up once she's in the cells and decide to pursue it on her was fucked. And I would find 3 ways from Sunday to argue that in court, right? The continued action, right? Because Hazel could have just taken that to court and it honestly would have been a fun and reasonable fight, right? But they are taking it from the aspect of she then consumed the oxy, right? Removing the possession charge, now moving it to an obstruction, which fits, which makes sense, right? They're not wrong in that aspect. The whole back and forth, right? Which is the reason why I wanted the time to talk to Croc. I'm too fucking tired to like continue in character conversations about it, especially since I can't change it. And Croc is already defending Hazel. So there's no point to talking to him about it at all. Right? But you have 2 officers that are down there. And then the DA comes down and makes a recommendation, or he makes a suggestion, or he tells his officers to pursue it. However it was, right? But DA Flores had an opinion about the matters and then left, right? So now these officers are taking direction, whether by order or by opinion, right, from DA Flores. I'll get to that in a second, Daniel. Flores made his mark on a case, and then Justice Flores hears it. In my opinion, right, and I would argue this in character, I will argue this out of character, right? That is conflict of interest. Whether whether Justice Flores knew that DA Flores had anything to do with it, the officer should have called that out, right? I'm still trying to figure out who told Hazel to, like, get fucked, you don't get what you want when she asked for judicial reassignment. Because that is officer misconduct that needs to be found. And I think the last time I asked Hazel, she said that she didn't know who it was, right? So that's officer misconduct because judicial reassignment is a motion that can be made. I mean, we're speaking OOC, right? This is not what Kane thinks. This is what I think, right? Because Kane is taking everything with the heavily weighted opinions in character. That's why, like, I'm trying to pardon, but I'm also trying to talk to a justice about it, you know, everything like that. In my opinion, out of character, 100%, yes. Hazel and Suarez should have been fired, correction, they should have had their bar temporarily removed and seeked tribunal, right? 100% bar removed, have a tribunal, because that's how it's been for every lawyer. Jake Walker had it. I had it. Johnson was probably going to get one sooner or later. Fucking so many other people had tribunals over their bars, right? Chief Justice Price gave a 48-hour suspension, right? The federal Judge Bardeen, right, who oversteps Price, could have made that determination of, no, they need to have a tribunal for this, which could have been the fact that it was misdemeanor obstruction, could have been the fact that Hazel was crying for it, right? But I also believe it's fucked that a punishment was given, which was the suspension, instead of suspended until tribunal. Because Kane was suspended until tribunal, right? Which I was fine with. I let the roleplay flow with it, right? And a lot of people didn't see that because that's not when I was streaming, right? So the whole situation surrounding why are lawyers held to higher standards compared to lawyers? All right, well, you said lawyers twice, so let's rewrite that whole thing, Rufferreal. Everyone keeps talking about how the judge made a ruling towards a felony. The prosecutor can still amend and change the charges. In real life, normally they ask permission from the judge. Burfsta, I don't disagree, especially because in a roleplay context, having somebody come in to have the conversation, to have that discussion, yes. But also take a look at notice of serves, right? When somebody is served for a civil suit or a criminal trial or anything like that, they are texted that information is coming there, right? The point is to not waylay bias with conversation. Why are lawyers held to higher standards than cops? Can you give an example? Because cops are held to pretty high standards, in my opinion. Like, a lot of cops get fired, and people just don't know about it because they don't make it very far before they get fired. Let me get through my main point, and then I want to go through these chats, right? Bardeen fired him to get his attention? Was he not answering his phone? Like... Anyways, that... My biggest issue is that there was a punishment given, which was the suspension. Do I believe Hazel and Suarez should have gone to tribunal? 100%. Bar removed, go to tribunal, try to get it back, right? In character, Kane doesn't want to talk to Suarez because he can't help him, right? Hearing that Suarez went and shot Bardeen, Kane cannot help Suarez. But yeah, I definitely view it as double jeopardy because everything that was made clear to even to hear his side, if it comes up in normal conversation, right, where like Suarez wants to talk to me about it, right, but Kane has no reason to outreach to Suarez, right? Y'all got to understand that Kane's relationship with anybody CG besides like Peanut, Ellie, and Hazel is all transactional. They're all transactional conversations. I don't call Suarez to see how he is. I don't call, Kay to talk about a sports game. I called Kay because I needed to make sure he had the Constitution, to make sure he knows that he's playing the game right, where if he gets caught up, Ramee becomes lawyer, stuff like that. Yeah. So now, in terms of everything that happened in that courtroom, right? Ricky should, South shouldn't have been there. Kiki shouldn't have been there. Like, any person who wasn't Kay, Ramee, Hazel, Carter, Chief Justice, and Justice Flores, it should have just been those 6 people, right? The moment other people come in, you're losing control of the situation for specific RP focus, right? DA Flores being there, don't get me wrong, out of character, Platt and I are very amicable friends, right? Like, he and I, we play games together, we have normal chat conversations, everything like that, right? I have no issue with him, and he plays DA Flores to be a very specific way, right? I think Mara bringing up the issues, yeah. And I could totally see that. Remdog was the only person that I kept up with drama with from NoPixel, because that man put oh yeah, Morrow. You're right, Lexi. Morrow. Those 7, right? Remdog was the only person I kept up with for NoPixel drama. The situation that happened with him on the PD stuff, I think was fucked, right? So the thing is that I can only have an opinion just like everybody else, right? So I want to make sure that, like, everybody know Fortnite. I don't play Fortnite. I just want to make it very clear, like, this is my opinion about the situation. I'm not going into tickets trying to change things. I'm not storming Discord. You know what I mean? This is my perspective. This is my opinion. This is, everything like that. Sorry. Suarez and Hazel should have had their bar removed pending tribunal. Who the Veggie Bit Remdog? Yeah. I think it was a case of double jeopardy. And I also don't like that, like, South had no business being there. And him instigating conversations did not help. Kiki, I think, was quiet. I think he was there, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Suarez wasn't in that room, right? When they were having the big meeting. Suarez should have been there, right? But there were so many irrelevant parties in there. Wait, the Suarez stuff happened before the meeting with Kay? No shit. I thought that was after. Holy fuck. Okay. Let's also, yeah, so let's also pause on this, right? I want to give some background context to Festus Bardine, right? Festus Bardine is a phenomenal judge, right? He was the one that oversaw Ricky South getting set up for the murder, When me and Rosa Garcia defended Kay for the funeral bombing, everything like that, right? Festus Bardeen was a guy that oversaw that. And he was the Chief Justice before he wanted to go help and do other things. And then Chief Justice Price, who was just originally a justice, took up that mantle, right? He is not inherently a bad person. He is also not a nobody, right? Now, Daniel is correct. Perspective. A federal judge came into the city, started changing everything. It is the same issue that happened with Up and Down and Burger Shot, right? Granted, Nash Masterson was more present as a character, but his actions weren't, right? It's a big communication thing. But that courtroom was handled incorrectly, or the courthouse meeting was handled very incorrectly. There were too many parties that shouldn't have been there, right? And nobody tried to get those people out. Carter was doing his best to get people to tone it down, right? Do I think people crossed a line? Yes, but only in the aspect that you don't know everything somebody goes through, right? Beanhead, you're not wrong. Ricky and Kiki didn't pipe up until the DA piped up. I get it, but they still shouldn't have been there to begin with. That's the point that I'm getting. Yeah, exactly. So it's a difficult situation because yes, I do agree that things were being said in a manner that I'm not going to say was relatively a rule break, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and say that Kay was rule breaking with the stuff that he was talking about, because he was just vocally lashing out. You're going to ban somebody for vocally lashing out, and you don't have a roleplay server, right? And in a context sense of sorry, I pause a lot. I try to make sure that if I say things, not only it makes sense, it needs to make sense, and it needs to be true to what I'm thinking. I get that these guys coming from NoPixel and dealing with everything about Moon Moon, that they try, but they have a lot of negative opinions about roleplay relationships, right? But not everybody is like that, and they don't need to demonize it to every single person. That's why I think they went too far against the Floreses. I fully believe that they went too far against the Floreses just based off of what they were saying. So this a lot of people want to talk about positions of power in this, right? And it's specific positions of, it's like, you guys think positions of power, Bardeen and Price in a roleplay sense have the same power, right? Price could have removed their bar, right? Bardeen removed the bar in the aspect of tribunal. No, yes, I can fully understand that. There are a lot of people in roleplay that can't fucking have that divide, right? Yeah, it's it's all hairy to enjoy playing on a server so much, especially with the stuff that CG does get, right? And they really don't want it to go south. It's the same for me. Like, I try to do my best to not talk about things I receive DM for, conversations in Discord that I'm in, but like, me and the council get a lot of conversation from staff and admin on things going the right way. And I knew that I have to entertain the roleplay handed to me. Riley comes up to me telling me about it. Lincoln comes up, or I call Lincoln after learning the information of Justice's quitting. And I go to Lincoln Carter about DA Flores leaving. Like, I have to entertain that roleplay as much as I don't want to talk about it. Right? I didn't want to entertain any of this roleplay because I can't do anything with it. Right? But everybody is going to come to me for it. I knew they were. But the mayor's office doesn't control anything in the DOJ. I work together with the DOJ. Right? And I knew some people were going to have these conversations, but like, I have to call it as it is. People got upset that their bars were taken away, but the RP was not denied. I gotta send a text really quick. Hold on. I think the entire situation is cooked from top to bottom. I think bad decisions were made on both ends. And I think some people went too far. I truly think Kay and Ramee went too far. Wholeheartedly. Granted, yes, it is roleplay. You should take it as a character telling you things to your character. But you also don't know what other people are subject to, how things are going between them. Like, you don't know that real life aspect. I think if it was a quip, right? If Kay and Ramee just said like a little quip about some bullshit, but they went descriptive and they went constant. Well, correction. I shouldn't say constant. Did they go too far because it's an out of character relationship? No. It's the, like I said, if it was a quip, if it was just a quick, jab, I don't think it would have been that bad. But it was constant when people told them, like, hey, be respectful. Burfsa, I've been saying it's conflict the entire time, right? So yeah, for those of you who don't know, J-Puck, he plays Larry, the deputy mayor. The situation is so outside of the scope of what we signed up for and what we can control. I won't entertain people wanting me to fix this. I'm more or less in the same boat. That's why I said I don't want to pardon Hazel until I talk to a justice, right? Autumn Wind, you're right. It could have continuously been continued that they keep getting told it's not a conflict. I think this is one of those situations where people just need to swallow certain things, pride, whatever, and understand that there are more people thinking that it's a conflict than people who don't. And it should just be accepted. Yeah, exactly, Daniel. K and Ramee did too much, but Flores treating K before he said something, and then they got too far. Yeah, that's why I said the whole situation is cooked. I think it's bad on all ends. It's bad on all ends, and it's ending in a really shitty way. You know, I feel bad for both the Floreses because I don't know how that affected them, but it was enough to make an in-character change. Right? Which clip, Blood Sugar? If you're talking about what the shit that happened in the courtroom, I'm not going to pull up videos for it. I'm going strictly off of memory and the stuff that I know. Symbiotic, you're not wrong. A case study for what conflict of interest is, you know? But it's... RP shouldn't be this deep. You're not wrong. In the same hand, right? People are allowed to feel personally attacked. It's the same way as dropping the F slur in roleplay, right? Some people treat it as a funny haha if they're 9 years old. You know what I mean? Like, there are just certain things that people don't want to hear. And it happens. Do you know the NoPixel DOJ drama that Kay and crew went through and made them go insane? Lexi, it's everything for Moon, right? And more. I know Moon was like a lot of out of character and like TwitchCon shit. Shadow, and at the end of the day, we were viewers watching things play out in front of us. CG has and always will have that gang mentality. Seen are blunt and crass and very opinionated. Is anyone having a good light shine on them? I wouldn't say that, but at the end of the day, I think it was mostly icy responses, in my opinion. So Shadow, you're not wrong that things should have stayed in character, but like I said, my opinion is that they went too far. I think it should have been, if they wanted to go that route and saying what they wanted to say, it should have been a small, little, quick, whatever. Me, I could give a shit less. Y'all already saw everything that happened between me and fucking Skylar, right? And I let it play out in roleplay because Kane enjoys having and utilizing CG. And they understand it as well. That's why people come and watch me. That's why they call me. You know what I mean? Happy guy. Yeah, we've all pretty much agreed that there were a lot of people who should not have been in that at that meeting. And Birdman, that's putting development in for something that's rarely going to happen. Yeah, it's a big mess. All right. I think I've pretty much said my piece about this. There's really not more that can be done. Decisions and actions were put in. And that's that, and we're going to continue the role play from there. It's why when Kay and Ramee showed up, I didn't instantly start talking about it because there's nothing to talk about, right? It happened, and I think it was shitty on all ends. I will touch on this. So Symbiotic replying to Happy Guy says, there's more to that catalyst than that. DA Flores, the day before that, telling Hazel, appeal it, you don't always get what you want, or saying that Ramee's law firm is corrupt. The DA, right, plays an instigating hard ass, right? That's what he wanted as the person appointed as the PD's DA. He wanted to be a hard ass. He wanted to be somebody that didn't want to mince words, right? He was okay with receiving conflict from that. He was okay with being targeted. He was okay with PD reprimanding him because of it, right? But what was said in that courtroom thing, right? Ed Boy, how all of DOJ and a lot of PD just kind of ignore the clear notion of conflict. Well, Carter doesn't believe that it is, right? I do. But Croc, who is also PD, believes that that it was conflict. The moment Croc learned that DA Flores and Magistrate Flores were married, he instantly said, "Oh, what the fuck? That is conflict." J-Puck, there were so many things handled poorly across the board. Bottom line, this is meant to be for fun and for content, which means there will always be a balance, and some types of verbal conflict are going to rub people the wrong way. Right and wrong in this isn't up to the characters, and we need to trust staff and move on to the next scene. Agreed. 100%. I mean, that I know a lot of people like hearing me talk about things because I'm a very different mindset from other things. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm taking this in, right? Here's the thing. Tribunals are fun. I don't think people should be afraid of them. I loved my tribunal, right? And my tribunal was funny as fuck. Ricky still had the fucking like $100,000 bounty on him. He had a $100,000 bounty on him. He was still wanted for the murder of Tina Donovan. And the fucker showed up to my tribunal. Right? He showed up to my fucking tribunal, and then when he realized that he was probably going to get arrested, he ran away, and he got away. And I really hope PD let him get away, because I love South, but God, is he dumb. But those tribunals are fun, right? It's putting your character on the line to try and get the bar back. And it's Prodigy. Unless you truly fuck up, they're not going to take it from you. Having those 2, 3, 4, conversations with people and having other people stand up in your favor, like, it's good role play. A tribunal is good role play. You take a break, from being a lawyer for a bit. It's just, I view it as double jeopardy. Mooberg, I don't know any of that information, nor do I want to. Not in a negative connotation of I don't want to. But just in the aspect of like, it's not my place to know right now. Who I need to go. Who do we send?